Welcome to this deep dive into people skills.
Hmm.
You mentioned wanting to understand people better, maybe even level up those leadership skills. So today, we're going deep with John C. Maxwell's Be a People Person, a book packed with insights on, well, becoming better with people. We'll be pulling out those golden nuggets, practical takeaways, aha moments that you can actually use. Ready to dive in.
Absolutely. I think what's so compelling about Maxwell's approach is that he goes beyond that surface level advice and digs into how these skills are critical, not just for personal happiness, but for success in leadership, business, even ministry.
Let's kick things off with the power of encouragement.
Mm.
Maxwell tells his story about a son with a chance to take over the family business. Sounds like a dream come true, right?
Yeah.
But there's a catch. The son could never quite meet his dad's expectations. We ever got that, yes, nailed it,
Hmm.
feeling, no matter how hard he tried.
It's like the father was throwing 9 balls, then sneaking in a
Oh.
10th one, impossible to catch.
What?
The son never got that feeling of accomplishment. The goalposts kept shifting. And the result? The son walked away from a potentially fulfilling career. His confidence eroded by years of subtle discouragement.
Makes you think, are we unintentionally throwing those 10th balls at people? Maybe we're so focused on teaching lessons or pushing for improvement that we forget to celebrate the wins.
Right. Big or small.
Yeah.
And that's where Maxwell's contrast with Eugene Lang comes in. He decided to encourage an entire class of 6th graders, promising them college scholarships if they graduated high school.
Wow.
And the results? Incredible. The graduation rate shot up. Lang's simple act of belief in those kids became a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's a powerful reminder that encouragement isn't just about making people feel good. It's about unlocking potential. Makes me wonder, who are the people who've thrown those, you got this, balls my way? You know, those folks who saw something in me and helped me believe in myself. How can I be that kind of encourager for others?
Great questions. Think about your own experiences, both the times you felt genuinely encouraged and the times you may have received those 10th balls that chipped away at your confidence.
Why?
Recognizing these patterns can help us become more conscious of how we're impacting others.
Okay, now let's move on to something Maxwell calls the deepest principle in human nature, appreciation. He starts this section with a quote from William James. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. He then tells this funny story about a young politician who shows up to give a big speech, only to find one person in the audience.
It's humorous, but it really highlights how much we all crave that feeling of being seen and valued, even if it's just one person who truly appreciates our efforts.
It ties in perfectly with a study Maxwell cites from TARP, the Technical Assistance Research Programs. It turns out dissatisfied customers rarely complain directly to the business. They just go tell their friends. The company's left in the dark about what went wrong. But here's the kicker. If their problem is solved quickly and well, those once dissatisfied customers become loyal fans and actually spread positive word of mouth.
Like the old saying, happy customers tell a few friends, unhappy customers tell everyone. But when you turn a negative experience into a positive one, you create a powerful advocate. The Nordstrom example comes to mind. They understand that acknowledging and addressing complaints in a way that makes the customer feel valued is crucial for building loyalty.
It makes you think about those businesses that just get it right. They're not perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. But they know how to make you feel like you matter. That kind of genuine appreciation goes a long way.
Absolutely. Think about your own experiences as a customer. What are those moments where you felt truly appreciated? Chances are those are the businesses you keep going back to, the ones you tell your friends about. It's a reminder that even in business, those people skills, that ability to make someone feel seen and valued can make all the difference.
Okay, now let's step into a topic that can be a bit tougher to navigate. Forgiveness. Maxwell opens with a powerful story about Senator Humphrey calling President Nixon on his deathbed.
Wow!
Talk about letting go of the scorecard.
Humphrey's quote about it really captures the essence. When all is said and done, we must forgive each other, redeem each other, and move on. It's a reminder that forgiveness isn't about condoning someone's actions. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. It's about choosing to move forward without being weighed down by the past.
And Maxwell doesn't just present this as some lofty ideal. He shares a personal anecdote about a pastor who carried bitterness for 7 years over something that happened at a conference. When he finally reached out for forgiveness, he described feeling this immense weight lift off his shoulders.
That story really highlights the internal struggle forgiveness can involve. It's not always easy, but the benefits to your own well-being can be profound. Holding on to anger and resentment can be like carrying a heavy stone wherever you go. Forgiveness is the act of setting that stone down and allowing yourself to heal.
Makes you think about those times when you've held on to grudges, those hurts that we sometimes replay in our minds. Is it really worth carrying that weight? Or is it time to offer ourselves and maybe even the other person the gift of forgiveness?
That's a powerful question, and it leads us beautifully into the next essential people skill. Maxwell explores the art of listening. He uses a couple of great examples to illustrate the power of simply listening. There's the man in the donut shop who just wants someone to hear his story, and then there's your mother, a librarian, who had this wonderful ability to make students feel heard.
My mom was amazing at that. She always said a listening ear is sometimes the best gift you can give someone. And Maxwell makes a key distinction here. There's hearing, which is passive, and then there's true listening, where you're fully present and engaged with what the other person is saying. It's not about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about genuinely wanting to understand their perspective.
And this is where listening transcends just being polite and becomes a crucial leadership skill. Maxwell points out that effective leaders are great listeners. They understand that listening not only allows them to gather information and understand different viewpoints, but also makes people feel respected, which is essential for building trust and buy-in. Think about the leaders you've admired. Chances are they were also excellent listeners.
That's so true. It reminds me of a time when...
I bet you have. Why don't you share that story with us? It might spark some valuable insights for our listeners.
Oh, absolutely. It actually involves a mentor I had early in my career. I was struggling with a challenging project, feeling pretty overwhelmed. And this mentor, instead of offering solutions or telling me what to do, simply sat with me and listened, asked questions that helped me clarify my thoughts and really allowed me to process what was going on. Just having that space to talk it through, to be heard without judgment, made a huge difference. It helped me regain my confidence and tackle the project with a fresh perspective.
That's a perfect example of how powerful simply listening can be. Your mentor didn't need to have all the answers. He simply provided a supportive and attentive presence, and that allowed you to find your own solutions.
Exactly. It was a real turning point for me. And it made me appreciate the power of deep listening in a whole new way. Now, speaking of powerful skills, Maxwell then delves into the concept of understanding. That bridge over the communication gap, as he calls it. He starts with this hilarious anecdote about a husband who's completely engrossed in a football game while his wife is frantically trying to tell him about their flooded basement.
Oh my goodness.
It's funny because it's so relatable, right?
Oh yeah.
We've all been there, either as the distracted listener or the one desperately trying to get our message across. But Maxwell uses this lighthearted example to illustrate a serious point.
Yeah.
Breakdowns in communication can have significant consequences.
Yeah.
And he backs this up with some pretty startling statistics. 60% of management problems, 50% of divorces, and 90% of criminal behavior are linked to poor communication.
Those numbers are a wake-up call. They highlight how crucial it is to develop strong communication skills in all areas of our lives. And remember, understanding is a two-way street. It's not enough to simply communicate effectively. We also need to be active listeners, genuinely trying to see things from the other person's perspective.
So it's not just about getting our point across. It's about really making an effort to grasp where the other person is coming from. It reminds me of that classic advice. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Precisely. And that leads us to another fascinating aspect of building strong relationships. Charisma Maxwell argues that it's more than just charm. It's about genuinely caring for others and making them feel good about themselves.
He breaks it down with this catchy acronym, charisma. Each letter represents a key quality. There's concern for others, helpfulness in solving problems, a results-oriented approach that focuses on wins for everyone involved, sensitivity to changing situations, affirmation of others' accomplishments, and last but not least, motivation that inspires and uplifts.
I think what stands out to me in that acronym is the emphasis on sensitivity and affirmation. A truly charismatic person isn't just going through the motions, they're attuned to the needs and emotions of the people around them. They know when to offer encouragement, when to celebrate successes, and when to simply listen with empathy.
It's like they have this radar that picks up on what others are feeling and helps them respond in a way that makes people feel seen and valued.
Exactly, and that kind of sensitivity is often what distinguishes genuine charisma from superficial charm.
Now, speaking of qualities that draw people in, Maxwell then explores the importance of confidence. He tells this adorable story about his 6-year-old son, Joel, confidently leading a line of pastors. It's like confidence is contagious.
That image is so delightful, and it illustrates a powerful point. Confidence can be inspiring. When we project confidence, it creates a ripple effect, encouraging others to believe in themselves and step outside their comfort zones. Maxwell also contrasts this with a story about a hot dog vendor whose business actually suffered because of his son's negativity.
Yeah, the son comes home from college, all doom and gloom, convinced the economy is about to tank. The dad, influenced by this negativity, decides to scale back his business, and surprise, surprise, his sales plummet. It's a reminder that we often become what we focus on. Surround yourself with negativity, and it's likely to drag you down.
This is where Maxwell's distinction between confidence builders and confidence shakers comes in. Confidence builders are those people who lift us up, believe in our potential, and encourage us to go for our goals. Confidence shakers, on the other hand, are those who constantly point out the negative focus on what could go wrong and chip away at our belief in ourselves.
Makes you think about the people you spend time with. Are they lifting you up or dragging you down? Are they helping you grow or holding you back?
Those are important questions. And it's not just about the people we surround ourselves with, it's also about the inner voices we allow to dominate our thinking. Are we focusing on possibilities or limitations? Are we choosing to see the good or dwelling on the negative?
Maxwell also points out that building confidence often starts with those small wins. He talks about intentionally losing card games to his daughter to boost her confidence. And he shares a story about his own father letting him win wrestling matches to build his belief in himself.
Those anecdotes beautifully illustrate how those early wins, even if orchestrated, can plant the seed of, I can do this. They create a positive feedback loop that can fuel future success.
And it reminds us that we can play a role in building that confidence in others, especially children. Sometimes a little bit of encouragement and a few small wins can go a long way.
Now let's shift gears to another cornerstone of strong relationships. Integrity Maxwell uses the story of Dr. Charles Blair to highlight how even a respected leader can stumble due to a lack of vigilance and accountability.
Blair was a highly decorated pilot and a respected figure.
Yeah.
But he ultimately faced a downfall because he let his guard down. It's a reminder that integrity isn't a one-time achievement. It's an ongoing commitment, a daily choice we make to align our actions with our values.
And Maxwell stresses the importance of anchoring our integrity in something larger than ourselves. He talks about prioritizing our relationship with God above all else, finding strength and guidance in our faith.
He also uses the examples of Eli and Samuel judges, whose families suffered due to their shortcomings, to illustrate the importance of balance in our lives. Even the most successful leaders need to make sure they're not neglecting their personal lives, their families, their own well-being.
It's a reminder that true leadership isn't just about achieving external success, it's about living a life of wholeness and integrity.
And that brings us to something we all face at some point. Criticism Maxwell opens this section with an amusing story about a barber who just can't help but criticize everything. A salesman mentions an upcoming trip to Rome, and the barber immediately starts trashing the airline, the hotel, the whole experience. It's like he's allergic to anything positive.
That anecdote perfectly captures the reality that some people are simply committed to finding fault. Their criticism often says more about them than it does about the person they're criticizing.
It's like their negativity is a reflection of their own inner world, not necessarily an accurate assessment of the situation.
Exactly. And Maxwell emphasizes that we don't have to let that negativity penetrate our own thinking. We can choose to recognize it for what it is and not allow it to derail us.
He also admits that he struggled with criticism early in his ministry, feeling this pressure to please everyone. But he learned the hard way that you can't do great things without ruffling some feathers.
That resonates with the story of Adolph Rupp, the legendary basketball coach. He faced constant criticism throughout his career, but he stayed focused on his mission, racking up victories and becoming the winningest coach in college basketball history. It's a powerful example of not letting the critics define you or distract you from your goals.
And Maxwell doesn't just leave us with platitudes. He offers some really practical advice for handling criticism constructively. He suggests considering the critic's motives, maintaining a positive attitude, and even trying to see criticism as a potential opportunity for growth and learning.
He also points out that even good people get criticized. He cites examples from the life of Jesus, who is accused of being a glutton, a drunkard, a friend of sinners. It's a reminder that if you're living a life of purpose, you're bound to encounter resistance.
And sometimes the best response is simply to let time prove your critics wrong. He shares the story of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, which was initially met with harsh criticism, but is now considered a masterpiece.
It's a powerful reminder that not all criticism is created equal. Sometimes it's valid and helpful, other times it's simply noise that we need to tune out. And ultimately, the most important thing is to stay focused on our mission and not let the negativity derail us.
Now let's flip the script and talk about giving criticism. Maxwell emphasizes the importance of clarity, telling the story of a pastor who struggled to be specific in his confrontation.
This highlights the importance of being direct and avoiding ambiguity. When giving criticism, be specific, provide examples, and focus on the issue, not the person.
He also stresses the importance of choosing the right time and place. A public dressing down is rarely effective. And this one really hit home for me. Look at yourself before criticizing others.
That's so crucial. It's about self-awareness and humility. Are we holding ourselves to the same standards we're expecting of others? Are we being hypocritical in our criticism? Maxwell also suggests ending all criticism with encouragement, leaving the person with a sense of hope and a path forward.
It's like saying, hey, I see this area where you could improve, and I believe you have the potential to do so. It's about offering constructive feedback with the goal of helping the person grow, not tearing them down.
Exactly. And that brings us to a really important point that Maxwell emphasizes how to handle criticism when it's directed at us. He identifies a few different personality types that we might encounter in these situations. There are the IE folks who always have an excuse, the CRY folks who get overly sensitive and play the martyr, and the Psy folks who just shrug and take no responsibility.
Those are such vivid descriptions. I can definitely think of people who fit each of those categories. And it makes you realize how easy it is to fall into those defensive patterns when we're being criticized.
It's human nature to want to protect ourselves, but those reactive responses often prevent us from hearing the message, even if there's some truth to it. Maxwell encourages us to try to see criticism even when it's painful as a potential opportunity for growth.
So instead of getting defensive, try to step back and ask ourselves, is there something I can learn from this feedback? Is there a kernel of truth I need to acknowledge? Can I use this criticism to become a better version of myself?
Exactly. It's about shifting our mindset from seeing criticism as a personal attack to seeing it as a potential catalyst for positive change. And sometimes the most powerful response is simply to choose growth and move on.
So let's zoom out and think about the big picture here. What does this all mean? What's the key takeaway from Maxwell's Be a People Person?
Well, I think one of the most profound points Maxwell makes is that there's no such thing as a self-made person. We are all shaped by our relationships and the people who have invested in us. It's a reminder that we are all interconnected and that our lives are richer when we focus on building others up.
It makes you think about those people who've poured into your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those encouragers, those mentors, those folks who believed in you even when you didn't believe in yourself. And it makes you want to pay it forward to be that person for someone else.
That's a beautiful sentiment. And brings us back to your goal of understanding people better and leveling up your leadership skills. Becoming a better people person isn't just about learning techniques, it's about cultivating a heart that is genuinely turned towards others.
It's like Maxwell is saying, sure, learn the skills, but don't forget the heart. It's that genuine care for others that really makes the difference.
Mm.
And he leaves us with this powerful question. Who are the people in your life you can encourage, appreciate, listen to, and understand?
It's a great question. Think about the people you interact with daily, both in your personal and professional life. How can you be more intentional about applying these principles, offering encouragement, expressing appreciation, truly listening, seeking to understand in those interactions?
It's almost like a challenge to put these ideas into practice, to move beyond simply knowing the concepts, to actually embodying them in our daily lives. And as we do that, we become better friends, better colleagues, better leaders, and ultimately better human beings.
That's a beautiful way to sum it up. Becoming a people person isn't about manipulating others or putting on a facade. It's about developing genuine empathy, compassion, and a desire to connect with others on a deeper level.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together, that our lives are richer and more meaningful when we focus on building each other up. So as we wrap up this deep dive into John C. Maxwell's Be a People Person, I'd love to leave you with this final thought. Who are those people in your life who have made a positive impact on you? And how can you pay it forward by being that kind of positive influence in the lives of others?
That's a wonderful thought. And remember, even small acts of kindness, encouragement, and understanding can have a ripple effect, making the world a little bit brighter one interaction at a time.
Beautifully said. And hey, if this deep dive has sparked some ideas or insights for you, we'd love to hear about it. Join the conversation online and share your thoughts. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep connecting with those around you. It's like Maxwell is saying, sure, learn the skills, but don't forget the heart. It's that genuine care for others that really makes the difference. And he leaves us with this powerful question. Who are the people in your life you can encourage, appreciate, listen to, and understand?
It's a great question. Think about the people you interact with daily, both in your personal and professional life. How can you be more intentional about applying these principles, offering encouragement, expressing appreciation, truly listening, seeking to understand in those interactions?
It's almost like a challenge to put these ideas into practice,
Yeah.
to move beyond simply knowing the concepts, to actually embodying them in our daily lives. And as we do that, we become better friends, better colleagues, better leaders, and ultimately better human beings.
That's a beautiful way to sum it up. Becoming a people person isn't about manipulating others or putting on a facade. It's about developing genuine empathy, compassion, and a desire to connect with others on a deeper level.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together, that our lives are richer and more meaningful when we focus on building each other up.
Mm.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into John C. Maxwell's Be a People Person, I'd love to leave you with this final thought. Who are those people in your life who have made a positive impact on you? And how can you pay it forward by being that kind of positive influence in the lives of others?
That's a wonderful thought. And remember, even small acts of kindness, encouragement, and understanding can have a ripple effect, making the world a little bit brighter one interaction at a time.
Beautifully said. And hey, if this deep dive has sparked some ideas or insights for you, we'd love to hear about it. Join the conversation online and share your thoughts. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep connecting with those around you.